Dropping photography knowledge all day long, right?
Welcome back to another Kilo Delta podcast broadcast. My name is Keith E. Dixon. It's official. We are here. Yes, I'm back from North Carolina and DC. It was a great trip, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the mindset reset today on this podcast and why the mindset reset is so important as an entrepreneur, business owner, even in your daily, regular life. So that's the mindset reset. If you're a subscriber, I want to thank you. If you subscribe to this podcast, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. If you're thinking about it, please do. Every subscriber helps. We're one step closer to a bigger audience. I guess that's the goal. Everybody wants to get a bigger audience. I'm going to say yes, that's definitely my goal, a bigger audience, more reach, more ears to listen, and in some cases, more videos, because on this podcast, I do videos from time to time. So thank you. Let's talk about the mindset reset and what that means. I'm going to walk you through part of my presentation that I did in North Carolina. And if you didn't know, if you don't know, you haven't been following my social lately, I spoke at the High Five Conference. It is a chapter of the American Marketing Association. So they have a chapter in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's one of their top 3 chapters in the country. As you guys know, I love marketing, and I talk about it a lot as it relates to social media and digital. And it goes something like this: people never change. People never change. Now, that's a tough statement because there's a lot of arguments for how people have changed. Yes, and I would agree with a lot of those arguments a lot of the times. But the thing that I would say is, at the core, people don't change. So let's drill this down. At the core, people don't change. Now, I like to compare that to, changing stripes on a zebra. We change our stripes, and if they fit, we work it. If it doesn't, then we kind of leave it where it is and move on to the next thing. And that's what I mean by that. So at the core, we have our values, and they don't change. I wish I could argue this with you, but it's been scientifically proven that people believe in their core values and they aren't willing to sacrifice or change. And those core values leak into not only the way we do things, but they leak into our professional lives as people and oftentimes affect how we make decisions. That could be challenging when you're trying to get something done or you're trying to connect with someone. You might look a little different, and because you look different, that might affect the way that they see you, and that could affect your core value. So oftentimes it has nothing to do with you as much as it does them and what they believe. Now, should it be that way? We can always Monday morning quarterback people and say people should be this way or people should be that way. But at the end of the day, we are all individuals with an individual right to believe whatever it is we want to believe. The goal is to bring that together, and that's where the mindset reset starts. So in order to bring people together, you've got to understand not only what your value is, but what their value is. Do you have to agree with their value? I'm going to tell you no. You don't have to agree with their value. You don't even have to like it, because in a real work situation, if you're not an entrepreneur, maybe you signed on for this job, you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice in who you work with or how you work with those people. You are stuck with what you got. And especially if you are working for, a city or a government entity, what it is what it is. So we don't always get choice in that matter. But as entrepreneurs, as creatives, we get a little bit more choice, a little bit more leadway. At the end of the day, you have to figure out how you're going to work with those people. Because you know what? You're not going to be able to say, I'm not working with that person, because your boss or whoever's in charge may say, well, you really don't have a choice because I need both of you. You both have different types of skill sets. So during my presentation, the thing that I did is emphasize change. I wanted to emphasize change and how we really don't change. And change will set you in a tailspin. It'll set your conversation in a tailspin because people are resistant to it. So I like to replace the word change with reset. We are going to reset. That way everybody can keep their values and know that, you know what, I may only have to work with this person temporary. This is going to be something that's going to help me. I know it's not what I'm used to, but this is going to help me. And that's the flexibility we are going to take on in our lives as entrepreneurs. That's the flexibility that we have to take on. Sometimes you have to work with people that are complicated, difficult, have a different way of doing things. It doesn't make it right or wrong. You won't last very long if you can't work with a variety of people. Not everything is going to go your way. It's not going to be like your structured job that you left, everything was perfect. It doesn't work that way. So I have a saying, as long as it's not unethical, degrading, or along those negative lines, then we can make it work. But just because I don't believe what you believe doesn't mean that we can't work together. So the Mindset Reset is really designed to keep us together. And it's something that I have done over the years to get this far and to last this long. I've constantly reset my life so that I could take on, embrace, and recognize new challenges, new obstacles, and new people. So the first step is I have a concept that I call RII, Renovate, Innovate, and Integrate, literally. The renovate part is very self-explanatory. You have to renovate out all of the old. Now, do you have to completely get rid of it? No, you're just going to archive it. Remember, your values is who you are. Your values is the reason you are the person you are today. So you don't have to change those values, but you do have to sometimes archive them and use them at a later time, a later date, or when it's appropriate. You're just going to renovate a little bit. You're going to open up some walls. You're going to add a little paint, put some doors on, throw in those dual pane windows, right? Oftentimes, you're going to run into people who don't want to renovate, who don't want to believe in what you believe in. That's okay. If you have to work with those people, if that's a barrier to where you're going as an individual, as a job, as a progress, doesn't matter, then the best way to bring that barrier down and to bring people or the situation together is to introduce what I call story time. So when it's time to renovate and you're met with resistance, the best way to connect with people is through stories. Now, you're probably thinking, Keith, what the heck? And I'm going to say yes, because storytelling is some of the most powerful forms of communication and connection that you can create with someone. And they're going to immediately start to tell you a story. It's important. And that's the importance of storytelling. It is that powerful. So in my presentation, that's something that I talked about was connecting with people through stories. Matter of fact, it will put them at ease because they will feel like they have a similar experience to yours. And now we can connect. You ever hear that? You ever hear people say, this is my new best friend, or I haven't been knowing them long, but I just love them. They're great. That's because most likely those people connected on experience. They're not best friends. A best friend, academically, a best friend is someone you have known at least 10 years. That's the academic definition for a best friend. Someone you've known at least 10 years intimately. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying intimately, like they've been a part of your life consistently for the last 10 years. That is the scientific definition of a best friend. Now, that line is diluted, and I'm not saying that you need to operate along the 10-year rule, but that's just to help define this. So when you are connected with someone or you're feeling comfortable with them, that's because you've shared a story and experience that you both can relate to. All right, you guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for listening. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing. And be sure to follow me on all of my social media channels. I'm out there on just about all of them. Facebook, Instagram, everything is at Keith B. Dixon. So Keith B. Dixon for everything. Instagram. I will see you guys on the next podcast broadcast. My name is Keith B. Dixon. Peace.